Hello, welcome back to my garden. It is raining today. Well, not right now. Right now it's paused. There's more rain on the way. And it was raining yesterday too. But in between the rains here, I thought I would come out into the garden and try to get something done because it's also supposed to rain for like the next 3 days as well. In fact, I think it's starting to drizzle again. So real quick, I want to start trimming back my sage here because if you follow me over on Instagram, I probably posted some pictures of it flowering. And now that it's done flowering, I want to start cutting it back. And this will prevent it from going to seed. And I am actually going to be pretty harsh with this. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I should be a little gentler. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. And I've read where you should just trim it right below the flower heads. And in some instances, that's what I'm doing. But as you can see, it's spread pretty far. And I think this was only 1 or 2 plants that I planted here a couple of years ago. If you guys let your sage go to flower, let me know in the comments below. I was also thinking about maybe taking a cutting or 2, or 3 or 4, and letting these guys grow on and planting them out into the garden as an ornamental plant. I mean, you can see it's covering a pretty good area here. So I was thinking that maybe a good, nice, low ground cover would be pretty fun. We got that job done. Let's go in the greenhouse where it's a little drier. Now it's nicer and drier in here. So eventually, one day, if I hit the lotto, I'll eventually build my potting shed. And then we could be inside the potting shed talking about all the things about the garden on rainy days. But for the time being, I have the greenhouse, and I do love the greenhouse right now. Unfortunately, it's getting to that point of year where I can't use the greenhouse because during the summertime, the temperature in here without its shade covering on is going to be way too hot. And even with the shade covering on, I've had the greenhouse get up to 130 degrees on a 90-degree day. So that's with a shade covering. So the greenhouse during the summertime becomes unusable. And I have been removing all of my plants. As you can see here, there's only some dahlia tubers over there. And on this side, we just have a few more dahlia tubers over here. So there's not much left in the greenhouse, and they'll probably all come out within the next week, I would say, tops. But as space frees up on the potting bench, then I can get more plants outside. And I think Friday is going to be a planting day, even though everything's just still going to be sodden from the alleged 2 to 3 inches of rain we're supposed to get over the next few days. But I think I'm going to need to start really getting stuff into the ground so I can get the remaining dahlia stuff out of here. And then what I'll do probably next week is cover up the greenhouse with the shade cloth. This year I'm going to be doing it slightly differently. So if you haven't seen me cover my greenhouse with shade cloth or why I'm covering my greenhouse with shade cloth, then I'll talk more about that next week. Another job I want to get done is uppotting my Greek oregano. I don't know how this is going to look. Hopefully you guys can see that. Maybe 9 plants in here, but it only looks like there's 2 or 3 that are in good condition. Not good condition, but large enough to be uppotted. So what I'm going to do is just pry out a couple that I do want. I've got 4 pots over here already pre-set up, and I'm just going to uppot them into these little pots here. I've shown you guys this before, how I uppot. It's nothing really different from what an expert does, but if you guys have any tips or suggestions about uppotting, you always know where to leave those comments. Oops, that's a small little root. I don't know how well this plant's going to do, but we're going to give it a shot. And give me one more. I need one more fairly big one with true leaves. How's that one look? That one looks really good. All right, so that job is done. And then, of course, as always, I will water. And what I will do once I water these in is I'll put these outside. It is sort of drizzling outside, but I don't know how much drizzle or how much rain we're going to get over the next 24 hours. And I would prefer these roots just to have a good drink of water. They're in potting mix, so it's pretty free draining. And as you can see, hopefully you can see, water is dripping right out of the bottom there. The other thing I think I did it last week sometime. I didn't show you guys because it's kind of dull and boring, but I did uppot those red bud trees that I purchased. I mentioned that in a previous video, and I put them into larger, I think they're probably in 5-gallon containers now as opposed to the 1-gallon container that they were in. So they have room to grow on. When I up-potted them, I saw virtually no roots near the edge, so they were not pot bound, which is actually a good thing because that means I can leave them in containers probably for the next year or two in the 5-gallon container. We will see. My wife and I still haven't figured out where exactly we want to put them. I have 101 different ideas about where I want to put them, but no idea, no definitive idea yet. Behind me here in the not cut flower garden, many of the seeds are coming up. I do have a couple that aren't, so I may go back and reseed those areas again with seeds if I have them. Hopefully another week or two when I do my vegetable garden tour, there'll be something here more to look at other than rows of dirt and wood chips. Back here in front of the greenhouse, I have another elderberry, which is looking a little, it's looking like it's struggling, and it probably is because it's a 1-gallon pot now for, I think this is going on its 2nd or 3rd year. So we are definitely be planting this in the ground almost assuredly next week because I don't want to lose this plant. It is still putting on growth, but I guarantee it's probably root bound in its pot. So I think next week that's going to be a definite priority. In front of it, I have a crepe myrtle. And this was actually saved from the front lawn area where the deer had been munching on it. It's in a big enough pot that it can stay there for the next year or so. And then right here, I have a sour gum, I believe it's called. I believe it's called a sour gum tree or sweet gum. I think it's sour gum. Either way, it's a deciduous tree. Kind of looks like a maple. And I recovered this one from somewhere here in the garden. There's a few trees around the woods around me and their seeds get everywhere and these pop up almost as weeds. So I harvested one and I put it in this plant, in this pot here, and it's growing on pretty well. I think it'll be okay this year, but I definitely probably want to plant it out maybe next year. And I think it's going to go in the back of the rose garden someplace, maybe. Not sure yet, but I'll figure it out. We'll get that eventually planted. I just wanted to sort of mention these things here. Teaser as to what's coming up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video. This way you can follow along with what's going on here in the garden. If you're new to the channel, if you just stumbled across this channel, I have a flower garden. I have your traditional front of house beds. This is the vegetable garden. There's a rose garden. There's an orchard. And in the next upcoming years, there's going to be a topiary garden. And then there's going to be a grass borders garden. So there's probably something for everybody here in this garden. So again, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. With all that being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.